Right now, let's bring in the incoming Chief of Staff to the Trump White House, Reince Priebus.
Reince.
Also with us, NBC News Special Correspondent Tom Brokaw. Reince,
Hello,
thank you so
Tom.
much for being with us. There was an explosion last night.
But nobody can talk about it because it's unconfirmed and unverified, and sources say.
So what is the President-elect's response to the BuzzFeed and CNN reports, and will he talk about them at 11 o'clock today in his press conference?
Well, I mean, the BuzzFeed memo is total, complete garbage is what it is. And look, BuzzFeed themselves said it was garbage. The New York Times wouldn't even print the document because it was unverifiable. This is what this is. There's tens of thousands of retired agents all over the world. You've got some agent somewhere, maybe in the UK, that hangs a shingle and says, pay me a rate. I'm going to do opposition research. He does a memo or she does a memo. This thing circulates for months. It's unsubstantiated, and voila, it shows up. I talked to Michael Cohen. One of the bases of this entire report is that a guy named Michael Cohen, who works for the Trump Organization, went to Prague and had a meeting with Russian agents. He'd never been to Prague in his life. I don't know what it says about the report. In fact, the coach of USC baseball in Southern California said, wait a second, he wasn't in Prague. He was with me in Southern California with his son.
Well,
the guy's never been to Prague.
There are parts of Southern California that look Prague-like.
Right.
Not.
But wait, on top of it, I said, here's the other thing, and this is serious because you know we're really hot about this. I said, okay, Michael, give me your passport. I want to see it. So he gave me the passport. I looked through the passport. I questioned him. He'd never been to Prague. Have you been to Eastern Europe? Have you ever talked to anyone that you thought was a Russian? Have you ever had a conversation? Nothing. It never happened. And here we are.
Yeah.
Here we are with with it's not U.S. intelligence document. I was in the room, okay, on Friday. The first I heard of all of this salacious garbage was when someone printed out this document last night. So it's not like we're sitting around talking about hotel rooms and meetings in Prague for 4 days now, and suddenly we're acting like, oh my gosh, this is crazy. Never happened.
Let's go to Gene Robinson.
So, Reince, then why did intelligence officials apparently include a 2-page summary of this report that you say is total garbage with the intelligence briefing? Why would they even bother if it's totally beyond the pale?
Well, listen, because it's classified, I have to answer it this way. It's up to you to find out whether this BuzzFeed article is included in anything, okay? So what I'm telling you, and you have to understand what I can say and can't say, what I'm telling you is that the first I saw this document, the first that I saw these salacious details, and you know which ones I'm talking about, and these secret meetings, it was last night.
So the 2-page summary was different. It did not cover this ground.
Right, I can't. Listen, Eugene, you know I can't get into that. What I can tell you is it's based on garbage. It's total crap.
So just for our viewers, you can't get in that. Why?
Because it's classified information. Honestly, I can't even verify whether there's I can't even verify whether the 2-page document exists. I mean, here's the deal. What I'm telling you is there was no craziness in Russia. There was no meeting in Prague. This was opposition research done by some campaign or operative that somehow leaked out. It is not an intelligence document. Cohen has never been to Prague.
All right.
And all of this stuff isn't even fit to print in the New York Times.
I want to get Tom Brokaw and Willie Geist. Tom first.
Two things. With all due respect, if you can't comment on it and it's classified, but you're at this point taking it down in very vivid language, so aren't you a violation of what the rules are for saying that kind of thing?
No, you can ask me whether these salacious details were discussed, and I can answer no.
All right. But this has been around for a while. I first heard about it 4 months ago.
Right.
And it had a fair amount of detail, and we've been chasing it, and a lot of other news agencies have been as well. Never been able to close the book on it.
Right.
We did take it, Richard Engel and I have been working on it. We did take it at one point to a very senior American intel official, said, I have no idea. that there's something like this going on. And it's not even reportable because we don't have the verification of the various charges that were there. So it's been around, and a number of organizations have been looking at it for some time. I was surprised when it showed up in this form, that it got to the intel agencies and they included it in a report to the president without any kind of conclusion about the veracity of it. So I think from the Trump Organization point of view that they've got a legitimate claim here.
Yeah, Willie.
Right, so was there anything in that presentation from the intel community to President-elect Trump the other day that suggested there was some potentially compromising personal information that rang true to the president-elect? Did he recognize any of it? And if so, how concerned was he about it?
So I didn't hear any of those crazy things that are in that report. And I can tell you last night when this came out, I mean, look, he would tell you the same thing I'm telling you, that this is total, complete garbage about him personally. It's embarrassing. It's disgusting. It's not true. And unfortunately, I just got to, and I think you all understand this because you would cover every second of politics for the last year and a half. I just have to say, unfortunately, I have to say, the folks here are just starting to get used to this kind of craziness that comes up. That's just not, you know, you get used to it in your daily life. You almost become Teflon to it and say, okay, what are we going to do? Here's another thing. Here's the game plan.
So why wouldn't the president-elect say to the intelligence agencies, I want you to run this down and clear it up and present the public with a clean slate? If it's not true, if it's all that you say that it is, why doesn't he tell the intel agencies, I want you to run this down to the last period in any of the statements that have been made and make it clear to the public, like FBI Director Comey did with the question about the emails for Hillary Clinton. They took 3 days and went through them, and then they came out and said, well, there's nothing to it.
Well, we're going to be there in 9 days, and in the release that President-elect Trump put out on Friday, in the last paragraph, we say that, and he said, we're going to do a full examination of this entire episode. We're going to have a report in 90 days after taking office as to this issue and potentially what our reaction needs to be based on the things that we've been talking about over the last several weeks, and we're going to do that. And he's going to do that as President of the United States. But as to the BuzzFeed memo, this is not an intel document. The intelligence community doesn't hand, you know, you all know when you see these documents, what's an intel document.
It's not even classified. It's opposition research that Republicans running against Donald Trump generated, and then Democrats running against Donald Trump generated. Willie has a quick question. I know you're out of your window. We apologize. Just one more quick question.
Right, so I know you have to run. So it sounds like, based on what you said, not just the BuzzFeed report, but the CNN report is also wrong. Is that what you're saying, that there was no two-page summary presented to the president-elect?
I can't, listen, I can't get into that. All I can tell you is that the BuzzFeed memo, the salacious details in that memo, all of those things are total phony baloney garbage. It never happened. It isn't true. And what had created the BuzzFeed article, and I think most of what CNN's been talking about, I'm not watching it 24/7, is based on this document from this opposition research guy that is based on nothing. That's not true.
Reince.
And we're stuck with it, but we've got to answer it.
I'm going to actually stick with you on this one for now, because I agree. Thank you very much. I know you have to go. I'll just say
thank you, Reince. Greatly appreciate it.